you can tell me if this is nuts. And he's like, look, Jessica, you came to me, just this random girl that walked into my office a year ago, and you made your first like 20K month. Now you've just turned over $1 million. He's like, I've never had anyone like you walk in through my doors out of all the years of accounting. He's like, if anyone can do it, you can do it. And if it doesn't work out, you just come back home, and then you owe the taxation department money. So.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode. Today's guest is someone who's actually revisiting, and she's been on the podcast a little while ago, and we were just trying to think just then, what month are we now? It was probably a year ago.
What are we in now?
I think it was towards the end of last year.
Yes, I think maybe like August, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
it was definitely second half of last year because I was in my other house.
Yeah.
And we were chatting there, and you were just starting. Oh, well, like you were just having some epic success in your new business that you were just starting, and now you've done over $1 million cumulatively. You're hitting 100K months consistently. It's fucking sick. So guys, welcome back to the show, Jessica Vieira.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited. Definitely lots of growth.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we get to do this in person this time. It's actually the first time we've met, but I feel like that we've been like social media buddies for a long time now.
Absolutely, yeah, I know, it's so weird. I feel like I have lots of friends on social media.
Yeah, well, your whole life, your whole business, and everything is on there. So I'm really excited to sort of hear a lot about it and sort of the journey of the last year. So where you were last year and then where you are now, you just said before, it's like I think you just celebrated your first 40K month then.
I'm pretty sure.
And your highest month now has been 109,000, and you've done that consistently.
Yeah. What
is the difference between who you are now and who you were then?
Oh my gosh. I think just before we did the interview, I like went through like a massive, I don't know if it was a breakdown, but like my mind was all sorts of, can we swear? It was all sorts of like fucked up. Cause it was just after I first kind of was making a lot of money. And I think on our last episode, we chatted about me being severely triggered by other business mentors that had business mentored me in the past, other people that were like, had things to say about what I was doing and whatnot. And then the growth just happened like so fast. Like I went through like a massive like spiral of like really bad like mindset problems. And then, the massive difference from then to now is my mindset.
Yeah. How so? So what were the I guess the issues, or what were the blocks you were having? What were the things that would come up to you then? Because I know a lot about that. Like there's that different levels. It's like 0 to 10K a month. There's a different person you have to be that gets past that, and it's like this different level of leadership, really. So what was going through your head, and what were all the things that were
So and you're right that like getting to 10, like 0 to 10 is probably always going to be like the hardest. That's like your little infant phase. Then like shooting up to like 20, 30, 40, 50, every single level has definitely felt different. It's felt heavier, it's felt crazy, expansive, like more responsibility, more decisions to make, more thinking to have, more clients, more problems, like everything. And I think it was not long after we had our chat, I spiked up to like my first like $80,000 month. I don't know how I did it or how it all happened. It just happened. And I will never forget feeling like so empty and like I was like, cool, I made all this money. I didn't know how to celebrate myself. I had severe anxiety around waking up and not having anything. Like literally, I explained it to like my mindset coach that I had. Like I had to hire someone because I was like such in a bad place. I was like waking up in absolute fear every day that it would all be gone. Like a tsunami was going to come and wipe me out.
Wow.
And I think it's because the growth was so rapid, it was almost too good to be true. Like it was almost too good to be true. And I didn't know how to like accept and embrace it, but also like embody it. Like, is this real life? Is this actually happening? Is this able to be duplicated month after month? Am I going to wake up and is COVID going to take my business away? Is something going to happen to me? Like, you know, I grew up in a very like lots of trauma growing up. So like when all of this money comes flooding in, like that also triggers a response. So I actually got diagnosed not long after with like post-traumatic stress disorder, and I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating. I had severe anxiety all day, like every day. And
from making a lot of money.
From making money. And I literally felt like, and it's crazy, but like, I didn't know, but a lot of entrepreneurs actually go through this. So the growth of the business triggered past things to come up. So it triggered post-traumatic stress disorder, because not that it wasn't unhealthy stress of the business. Mind you, I didn't expect my company to grow as fast as it did. And I'm not one to stop. Like I swear there's something wrong with me. Like I'm like all in, and I loved it, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. You become addicted to making money.
Yeah.
And then everything was just happening, and my why, my purpose, obviously, like my mum and my sister, like that was like the biggest thing of like keep going. But I reached like a point where I was severely triggered, not by other people, but by my past. So, you know, that was when was it? I did so much heavy work in October. I had like 2 weeks between masterminds to literally uncover everything, cry my heart out.
Do you know what was the biggest thing that was kind of coming up for you? Like, because obviously something like when things happen in our life, this happens, then it means, we make it mean something bad, you know, and then we have this internal, do you know what it was?
Yeah. There was so much. Like I did timeline therapy. And there was so much that like just came up, and you know, this is so woo-woo and so full. When I tell people, they think that I'm nuts. Like I'm like, trust me,
Most
if you ever
successful
do this,
people are.
Yeah, I think I'm nuts.
Yeah.
I own it. I'm like, I don't care. You don't need to understand me. You're either coming with me or you're not. But like the biggest thing was I was actually holding like a lot of my mother's pain that she experienced as growing up. So, and there's actually scientific evidence to show that a mother can transfer their emotions whilst they're carrying you. So I was actually carrying so much of my mum's emotion, fear, anger, you know, stress around money, because when she had me, she was only 20, 21, you know, she grew up in a very crazy life. So her, like when she fell pregnant with me, she was scared. She had no money. She had, you know, no job. She was a high school dropout. She like ticked all of the boxes to say like her life was going to be stressful. So she carried all of those emotions having me. And oddly enough, like I was actually taken back to like that time in my life, which is insane. And then, you know, I realized like a lot of that was showing up around the money, of fear of losing money, fear of not having money, fear of things being taken away. Like, and, you know, there was many significant times in my life, like guilt, shame, like everything that I had to kind of work through. And it's been constant, like self-development since then, like constant. But now I'm more consciously aware of it. So, you know, since our last chat and since like doing that work, like ever since then, I've just been constantly like trying to like reprogram my subconscious mind to make better decisions, to change my behaviors, to change my habits, to change my patterns. Like, and it's like the most ugliest, hardest thing, but like the growth in my business, like there's no way if I didn't do that and continue to do that, I wouldn't have the money that I have now. Yeah. Like hands down can say that, because it's the hardest, most ugliest work to do ever.
And I love that stuff what you're talking about as well, because I've done a lot of that as well. Yeah. Like that's actually what I do with people too. Yeah. And
I remember when you were talking about it, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah, because it's like, I had the exact same stuff. Oh like, because I did like timeline therapy and all this stuff, and to clear up all these things, and there was some stuff still lingering. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I did it again, and I went back even further to, I think it was 2 generations, and I was holding guilt from my mum's mum.
So crazy.
And when you do this thing, you can kind of go back and you can, and for people listening, it might be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That sounds weird. But I'll explain it on like a science level. If you can understand that we're all energy, that's all we are, except the 0.001% or whatever the fuck that we actually are matter, energy can't be created or destroyed. So it makes a lot of sense that it can be transmuted from past lives or generationally. And I think to actually ignore that and think it's not possible is crazy. Like it's highly probable that a lot of us are holding some kind of thing from the past, because the only core emotion that all humans are actually born with is love. And everything else we've been taught. We learn how to do fear, we learn how to do anger, sadness, and all this kind of stuff. And the great thing is we can also learn how to get rid of it. So
absolutely.
That's really exciting to hear.
It's crazy.
What else was, so I'm really just kind of curious. So what do you think got you to those 40 and 80K months? Was it pure, was it this pure just absolute grit and obsession, or was there, did you have some kind of other, you know, like what were your practices, or was it just purely just get out of my way, I'm a steamroller?
Oh, a bit of that. I am a bulldozer. Like I literally am. I'm like a hustler. You know, I think the biggest thing was like, for me, is knowing like, holy shit, like I can actually change my life. Like, but not just my life, like generations. Like I'm the first person, I think, to go to university in my family. My family's so disconnected. Like I'm the first person to really own a successful business. Like everyone is still in Western Sydney. You know, to even just to be able to get out of Western Sydney is a big thing. If you've ever been to Western Sydney, it's like if you even move to the eastern suburbs, like holy shit, like who are you? You know, it's a really, really big thing. So, you know, I think for me, like, you know, my dad left my mum when I was 12 and left her bankrupt and left her with nothing, stayed at home mum with 2 kids. Like my mum has I think $20,000 in her super. You know, my sister was depressed, and, you know, it was only just over a year ago that my sister said that she wanted to commit suicide for like the 3rd time. And, you know, not that I hold responsibility, but when somehow, like, I believe in God, and when somehow, like, you are placed with gifts or a purpose, and if you don't do something with that, like, I feel like it's such a fucking waste, like, literally such a waste. So I just embraced, like, you know, what was given to me. And, like, I'm no genius by all means. Like, my grammar, my pronunciation is horrendous. Like, I'm a high school dropout that literally went to the shittest schools in Western Sydney. So, like, you know, I just took it as, like, this is literally a blessing of life. Like, yeah, you can call it resilience, and, you know, I am tenacious and I do have those traits because, yeah, I grew up in a family where you have to work really fucking hard just to pay for food. Like, and you're lucky if you get a Christmas with presents, like, you know, so I do have that. My dad always told me, you got to work hard for your money. You got to work hard. You got to work long hours. You got to, you know, this is what you got to do. Like, I just remember my pop and my dad and all of, like, my uncles and stuff, like, just working really hard. And I have those qualities in me. But, you know, the gifts that I have, and somehow all of this knowledge that I've somehow, like, accumulated, you know, I just felt like it would be such a waste. And, you know, my real purpose is to be able to, you know, change my family. You know, I don't know if I'll have kids, maybe it'll be my sister's kids, I don't know, someone to inherit, you know, my money or whatever that is. But, like, you know, to be able to change a circumstance, like, in your family is such, like, that's such big work. Like, it's so big. And I feel like that I got given that gift by, you know, a higher power. So why not just keep going with it? And for me, I'm like, you know, I had 2 options. At the start of the year, I was making 50K months, and it was consistent. It was working. Like, I was doing it, and I was feeling better, and I was just kept doing self-development, kept investing, kept doing the things. And I was like, okay, what do I want this business to be? Do I want it to be a 50K month business, or do I actually really want it to be like a company, like a real multiple $1 million, 8-figure company? And I was like, how far am I willing to go for this? Not for the money. It was just, well, that's bullshit. The money's pretty fucking good. Money gives freedom and allows you to do lots of amazing things. But I was like, you know, how far am I willing to go? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I've come this far. Like, you may as well just keep going. You know, the stability, like, I know 50K for a lot of people sounds like a lot of money. It is someone's salary, but when you also have like people who work for you, it's expenses.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, yeah, I could have this business, but I could still also very much be a slave to my business at 50K a month. And it would still kind of feel like I was back in nursing. It sounds crazy, but you still cap yourself at 50K a month when you have people still working in your business, except you work for yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, what's the big vision and how far do I want to take it? So I just decided that I was going to keep going. And that this year has come with its own like devils of growth of, you know, getting to 50K. Yeah, cool. Getting to 100K, like, holy shit. Like that is next level mindset.
So I want to hear about the mindset shift that had to happen between 50 to 100.
Yeah.
But before that, you were saying a little while ago when you hit your first 80, you were like, you woke up and it was like, is this all there is?
Yeah.
And I do hear that quite a bit. Sometimes people put so much, you know, on the end result and they get there. It's like, oh, so why do you think that happened for you when you hit 80? You're like, oh, what made you feel like, is this all there is? And if you were to go back to that person now, what would you have done differently?
Yeah. I think it was just fear around losing it. Like that was the first just magical 80 and
So you couldn't enjoy it because you were scared? Is that
I think I was just scared and like fearful, and I honestly, like I was just so triggered. Like it was honestly just past emotion and anger and just energy that was sitting inside of me that like I just had to go. So it didn't even matter. Like even if I was happy that I had this, but I explained it to my mindset coach, like it is literally uncontrollable emotions and I don't know where it's coming from. Like no control. And that's crazy. Like that your body could physically just have no control over how you feel. But you know, at that time, like, I made the 80K. It didn't happen again the next month. It was just magically happened. But I really did learn the lesson in that I had to get a mindset coach to work on the other stuff. Like it's good knowing business strategy, but there's also the mindset aspect. And I was also so attached to like making $1 million. That's the biggest thing. And I've really worked with a lot of entrepreneurs now that are so attached to the figure. And, you know, the biggest thing that I did for myself was to stop looking at the numbers as well, because it's almost like I felt like I had to prove my worth to be worthy of having the money. Like if I get to $1 million in 1 year, then I would be worthy enough to have the title that I have.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like, who are you to do the things that you're doing? Like it's a very masculine space. Like in Australia, like we're so like far behind. Like who are you to do it? I was in the fitness industry. Like there was a lot of people that potentially didn't like the things that I was doing. Friends that said, I hope you know what you're doing. Like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. But I just kept doing it, you know? So I felt like if I got to $1 million in a year, that I would be good enough to have the title.
That's what you put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like on this relentless chase to make $1 million. But what I realized is like, you know, are you gonna be happy at like $1 million? Are you even going to be happy at $1 million? Because, you know, a lot of people make a lot of money, but are you actually happy? That's the thing, you know? And I was like, why do I need to make $1 million? So I actually let go of making $1 million because I literally just kept working on myself and was like happy. I'm like, I've got a good house. I'm debt free now. I own everything. I can buy whatever I want. Like I'm comfortable. Like, why do I need $1 million? It's like, it's $1 million. Like it's actually $1 million.
Yeah. It's like a made up thing. And
it is.
I was having this conversation with a friend a little while ago, and it is, especially in the entrepreneur space, it is that worthiness meter where people are like, I want a 7-figure business. I want this $1 million a year. And I asked them, I'm like, why do you want the $1 million? It's like, well, because that's what I should do. Yeah. And it's like, says who? Yeah. Like says like all the Instagram things and the Lambos and and all this shit. Right? We're so conditioned and until you're doing that, then you're not good enough. And what it forced me to do, I was having this conversation, forced me to look inside myself and go, well, what's my goals? Because I also had that. I was like, well, of course, $1 million a year minimum, right? And my 5-year goal is $1 million a month. Like, and I will do that. However, I'm not attached to
when
I'll feel good when.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm really big on in being pursuing the happiness in the pursuit versus the pursuit of happiness, and just enjoying the shit out of everything I have now. Because if I enjoy the shit out of everything I have now, when the millions come, it's gonna be even better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I actually worked out. I was like, okay, what do I want for my life? Like, what's my dream life look like? And I worked out my budget. Okay, I want to put this much in savings this week. I want to donate this much. I want to have a Bentley, so that's how much that costs to have. I want to fly, and then I worked out like every 90 days, I want to have a 2-week epic getaway. It's going to be first class, so I'm like, I'll budget that in, blah, blah, blah. Put everything in. Live in a penthouse, $2,000 a week rent, all these things, right? And with taxes, it was $15,000 a week.
Yeah.
And it was a balling lifestyle. I was like, wow, so I'm not even, no, actually, hang on, no, it was $11,500 a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
And so here I go. Here I am thinking that I need to have $1 million a year income to feel good enough, when actually all I'm really desiring is about $550.
Yeah.
And then once I did that, I was like, I feel so good, because if I'm doing that and enjoying, because what I value is just the fun, the freedom.
Yeah.
That's my dream life, you know. And then it was funny. I was writing down my goals again a couple months ago. What actually just came out subconsciously was $15,000 a week. And I was like, hang on a second, it's meant to be 11. I was like, maybe I've up leveled. Maybe that's the new one. So now that's the new goal. But it's a funny thing to actually sit back and look at what do I really want. So between 50 and 100 for you, what is the difference?
I think really definitely a lot of it had to do around my energy. A lot of it had to do around leadership. A lot of it had to do around learning how to really manage emotions. So you can do a lot of heavy work, but then you actually need to keep implementing it. That's the hardest part of and you know how I said around reprogramming your subconscious mind, your paradigm, reprogramming that, just because you do a little bit of work, it doesn't mean that it's all gone. So it's
like building a muscle.
It literally is. And it's at the start of the year, I was so exhausted and I was so frustrated and I was so tired, and I'm like, okay, what do you need to do, Jess? What do you need to do? I feel like I just had to, I had to make a lot of uncomfortable investments, not just for me, but for my team. It became less about me and more about my team and the people in my company. So then I had to learn how to not just hire, but also lead a team and what that looks like, and also transfer, my energy into my team and help build them up, because it's all true and well for me to have success. But at the same time, I had to learn how to empower the people that were around me. I've had to learn how to, speak to them, how to have them see that they have an amazing, they have a business inside of my business. And I've had to learn how to build them up and hold really huge capacity and energy for the people around me. And that was probably the hardest thing, but that is honestly what took me from, that 50, 60K mark up to 100K was, holding bigger capacity for more. Yeah. And, I used to believe in being high vibe, and I am very high energy naturally, and being high vibe. But high vibe is bullshit. That's not going to be the thing that grows you. It's literally holding more capacity to be able to handle more. And people think that if you're going to get to 100K, that it's less work, or it's less responsibility, or it's less, less, but it's actually holding so much greater capacity around you to handle more. Can you handle the more money? Can you mentally handle more money? Can you mentally handle more clients? Can you mentally handle when clients don't pay their bills, or when failed payments come through, or clients aren't happy, or your staff aren't happy, or someone's working for you and they have a breakdown? Can you actually mentally handle that? And that comes down to what I found is me managing my own emotions, because if I can't manage my emotions around my money, failed payments, my financial situation, and everything else, the responsibility of making money and having a company and heaps of students, then how can I help my team manage theirs?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing this year was learning leadership and, not being reactive and constantly like, okay, if you're triggered, why do you feel that way? Awesome. What needs to change? Like constantly checking in with myself, like all the time. But also I think I had to really understand like my superpowers, like, and just who I am as a person naturally, and stop like denying it. Like I've had people, have an opinion on like who I am and what I do. Even people that have said like, why do you want to make so much money? Why do you do this? And question. And it almost kind of made me feel like who I am was maybe a bad thing. And I used to reject, like I questioned myself, like, why do you have so much masculine energy? Why are you like that? Like, it's bad. You're never going to find anyone that likes you. You're never going to get in a relationship. You're intimidating men. You're this, you're that, you're this. And I was at the start of the year, I was really rejecting my personality because other people had their opinions. So I had to start disconnecting from what other people thought of who I had to be, and actually just embody who I am. And, I've really had to understand, what is my masculine, what is my feminine. And it looks very different to a lot of people, but I've just had to figure out how to embody that in my own business, which is probably the hardest thing for most females. And that's why a lot of females might reach that 50K mark, but getting to 50 and 100K has way less to do than strategy, but really about who you are as a person and like your own personal evolution.
Right. So how can, and I'd love to speak specifically to women because like that was another reason I was so excited to have you back on now, like a boss babe, because it's finding more and more women to come on the show. It's harder. Yeah. And I want to see more women just fucking kill it. So why do you think, and very gross generalization, but why do you think most women, women, more so women than men, do struggle with stepping into their own strengths and their superpowers and fucking crushing it?
I think, like, I think if you've got like a lot of, I feel like a lot of women that go into entrepreneurship, and we have naturally lots of masculine energy. Like anyone that says that you cannot, like women, you can build a business just off feminine is bullshit. Like you actually need that masculine drive. Like otherwise, how the fuck are you going to make 50K months? Like even that at that extent, like it just doesn't happen. But I think a lot of women, I think we're just programmed to believe that there won't be other men out there that won't find us intimidating. And I think that fear of being alone, and I had that fear at the start of the year, that I feared that I would be alone because of who I am. And then I really do believe like Des literally helped me shift that immensely, because he just like loved me for like who I am. And that helped me realize that all the people that had said, you're going to be alone, your masculine energy is too much, no one's going to want to be with a woman in business, it's too much. Like at the end of last year, I honestly thought, should I just give this up? Because do I want to be alone for the rest of my life? So coming back to that, me rejecting my personality and my traits, that is literally my superpowers in what I have now. I was like rejecting it because of what other people would say. And I started believing, and I found like men were intimidated by me. Literally. I'm like, you guys are nuts. Like I'm just a normal person. Yes, I make money, but I'm still normal. I just think very expansive. But I think, and I see it like a lot of women that I even know that are making money, it's like, there's like this shame around making money. Or there's this shame around holding a lot of masculine energy. But I think we're just very special women, and we will find the right person eventually that will come into our life. But I think that that's where women get stuck, is that part is like, I want to be in a relationship, but no one understands me, and I'm judged and I'm criticized, and my masculine energy is too much, and why do you work so much, and why do you this, why do you that? But I think it just like we're just for the 1% of men probably in the world
yeah.
that find us inspiring. And, you know, Des is like, he's like the ultimate calm person, like literally. And I feel like he was a big lesson for me this year is, yeah, there is someone out there for me. And there's probably many of guys like him out there for me. And it may not be an entrepreneur, but that really showed me that I can be myself and that there is literally no shame. And that, like, after that, as I started literally being in this relationship, like I literally started making more money because I started to just embrace it. Like, I'm like, you know what? I'm masculine and I can still find love at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Like there is, because it's, you're not wrong. Like, it's conditioning from a young age. Have you ever read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind?
No.
Oh my God, read it. Okay, right. Guys, listen to this, watching this, read that book. One of the best books ever. And he talks about, one of the things he talks about is like the habits and the traits of a successful person versus a poor person. He calls it rich people and poor people. And he's like, rich people think they can have their cake and eat it too. Where poor people think they can only have one or the other. It's like, well, what's the fucking point of having your cake if you can't eat it? You know, but then it comes down to, like, exactly what you're saying. It's like, can I be in my absolute masculine and crush it in business and also be in your feminine in a relationship? Yeah. Or in other areas you lack, but having that polarity. It's like, can you have both? Of course you can. And it's only preconditioning that makes us believe that it's got to be one or the other. And we've all got that whole past shit.
Yeah. And it's so big. Like, it's just so, it is so big in my space for women. Like, and I know I'm not the only person that's kind of been through it. And, you know, I still go through it as well, like constantly, you know, just trying to figure it all out. Yeah, and I know a lot of women face it. It's almost like, do I trade my business in to be normal?
Fuck normal. Fuck normal.
Legit.
But quick one though. In the last, let's just say in the last month. Yeah. In the last month, how many times have you thought about quitting?
None. Honestly, I have no fear now. It's
in
crazy.
The last year.
Not quitting. I think it was December. Last year was when I was like, oh, should I give this all up? Like, should I? You know, what do I want? Do I want to get married and settle, or do I want to have a successful business? I felt like it was one or the other. I really did, like, because I really wanted to be in a relationship. So I felt like it was one or the other, purely based off other people's opinions. But yeah, like, I don't think, like, this year I've been so, like, fearless. Like, I'm like, this shit is like real. It's fucking happening. And you know what? I'm going to the moon. So
yes. I love that. And you absolutely can have both.
I think
like,
so.
I was talking to a friend a little while ago, and she's a bit of a boss herself as well, and she's like, I'm never gonna be able to attract someone like, you know, on this because she had this belief that she had this weird way of describing it. It's like men pick down or something like that. You know, it's like, you know, for dating, like, men always find a woman less than. That's what she was saying. She's like, less than, they earn less and all this stuff. And what if I keep going further and I can't find them? I'm like, how much you making now? And she's making like 20 or 30K a month. I'm like, that's fucking shit. I'm like, I know people making $1 million a month, $5 million, $10 million a month out there. They'll look at you and be like, why, are you okay? Do you need some money? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's who are you around? It's like, who are the environment that's around? Like, I'll never forget when I came out to the Gold Coast last year, after being overseas, and a lot of the people I was around, you know, they were celebrating, you know, making 10, 20, 30, 40K a month. It's like, yeah, it's amazing. And don't get me wrong, it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And what I noticed when I came back, I was like, I want to shift this environment because I want to raise my standards. And I got around a different environment, and here's the key. I think I've shared this story on the podcast before, but I got invited to a friend's party. It's like, one of my mates was like, hey, come to this other guy's party. He's celebrating doing his first $1 million year. He's 23 and it's on a yacht. And I was like, there's a fucking clue. Yeah. It's like, here's the party, 23-year-old, and it's on a yacht, right? And I remember sitting there and just like listening into some of the conversations that were happening there. And they were all saying, one of the guys were like, oh yeah, I just made like 40K this month. And the other guy started teasing him. He goes, are you fucking serious? He's like, dude, when are you going to hit 100K already? Oh my God. When are you hit 100K a month already? And then one of the other boys was like, don't you talk? He's like, when are you hitting 200? When are you hitting 300? And I was just listening and I was like, wow. So the banter was the same. There's banter everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
Every environment you're in
Yeah.
is going to pick at you and have banter with you and push you one way. However, some environments can be like, oh, why don't you just have another drink, you pussy?
Yeah.
Why don't you just go pick up that girl, you pussy, when you're in a relationship, right? Or like negative things.
Yeah.
Or you can be in relationships, environments like this, where it's like, when are you going to hit a 6-figure month already? Come on, you're fucking around, you know? So the environment really dictates so much of what we believe of ourselves and how we think and we act. And
I agree.
That's why I'm happy for you. You're going to the States, which is really freaking cool.
I'm excited. I feel like I'm a little fishy in a big pond.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're on steroids over there. It's going to be cool.
It's good, but I think like just, meeting new people, I definitely feel like that's where I'm called to be 100, like definitely.
So talk to me about that then. So what made you actually want to realize and be like, okay, I'm kind of, for argument's sake, done with Australia. I want to go somewhere else. I
don't think I'm done with Australia. I think I've always just kind of felt like that there was so much more for my life, like always. And, I've not really traveled too much at all. So travel was never really a possibility. And I just, it's so crazy. I tried to at the start of the year, but I can definitely say I was not ready. Like I wasn't. Yeah. I was just not ready. Like mentally, emotionally, I wasn't ready for such a big commitment because it's huge. Like the paperwork, the everything, like holy hell, it's so much. Yeah. But it's so weird. I was actually like dreaming about it. Like it was about it's constantly been at the back of my mind. I'm like, let it go, Jess. It'll happen when it'll happen, because I believe everything in life will happen when you're ready, not when you push and you force it. It will happen when you're ready. And it was always at the back of my mind. I kept researching, how can I do it, but not obsessively like pushing it. And then I just ended up in this Facebook group for E2 visas, and next minute I was like, I just sat in it. I asked one question and I just sat, and I just ended up, and it just all came together. And then I had a dream one night, and I had a dream of the fact that I was like living in, what do you call them? Condos in America? Not penthouses. They're like condos, like big, huge apartments. And it was in New York City. And I can't see it very vividly, but I remember the dream, and I was like in New York City, and I don't wear Louis Vuitton or brand clothes at all. I'm not a brand name girl at all. I'm Kmart, Cotton On girl all the way. But, and I was wearing like luxury brand clothes, which is super weird because I would never think like that. And I was wearing those clothes, and it was like I was older, like definitely not too older, but like 5 years. And I was walking out to the foyer, and the doorman passed me my almond milk mocha. And I got in my taxi to go to my office. And I was like, and I don't dream too often, only when something big is about to happen. And I was like, well, if this isn't a sign, then this is the sign. Like, who dreams of that? That's so weird. And it felt so surreal. Like I woke up crying, and that morning it was like 3 a.m. and I got a text message from an old client that I had when I was a PT, and he was like a father figure for me. And he's traveled the world as like a photographer. The last time before COVID happened, he was actually photographing the Obamas, and he's traveled everywhere. Like America is his place. And then I woke up and he sent me a photo of him in LA. So he actually got out of Australia and was traveling. He's like, Jess, I just wanted to give you an update. I've been traveling America and everything. I'm like, well, holy shit. Like if this isn't a fucking sign, then it's the fucking sign. And then I just happened to find lawyers, and everything's just falling into place. And I feel like I'm ready. Like I actually feel like I'm ready to go and do it. And I don't know if it's going to work out. I could lose all my money. I may not make a dime. It may not go to plan. I have no idea. I literally have no idea. But, I'm just going to try it. My accountant's advice, I was like, do you think I'm crazy? Because honestly, if I'm being impulsive, you can tell me right now. Like, my financial position. Like, you can tell me if this is nuts. And he's like, look, Jessica, you came to me, just this random girl that walked into my office a year ago, and you made your first like 20K month. Now you've just turned over $1 million. He's like, I've never had anyone like you walk in through my doors out of all the years of accounting. He's like, if anyone can do it, you can do it. And if it doesn't work out, you just come back home and then you owe the taxation department money. So, and I was like, okay, all right, well, I'll just give it a crack. He's like, go do it. And I was like, cool. And it's just happening. So. Yeah.
I fucking love that so much, man, because like you had a calling or a vision or a dream or whatever you want to call it. And you're just taking massive fucking action to make it happen.
Yeah.
In spite of fear. There's fear and doubt in there still, right?
Oh, I'm petrified.
Course, right?
I've had anxiety the last 3 days.
And it's all the unknown and shit. What keeps you going? Because this is what stops so many people. So many people stop because they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this because it's scary.
Yeah. I think, I think it really is just paying attention to the signs. I've definitely come to understand, I am learning it more and more is, about energetics, about magnetism, about manifestation, your frequency and it just everything. And I'm really starting to it's I've been learning about it, but I didn't quite get it until it's happening. You don't get it until actually things are happening. You're like, holy fucking shit, it's actually happening. And when you feel it, you just follow. And I'm like, there's fear. Trust me. There is lots of fear. I ask my sister every day, should I do this? And she's like, would you just shut up? You're doing it. I'm like, yeah, but should I? She's like, even if I said no, you'd do it anyways. And I think fear will always be there. And to be honest, the last 3 days, my heart rate has been up over 100 because I am anxious about it.
Is it anxiety or excitement though?
I think it's both. I think, well, here's the thing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. I was picking my apartments in Miami, Florida the other day, the offices and everything. I'm like, holy shit.
I'm low-key, no, high-key really have FOMO.
I'm like, what the fuck? I've been trying to learn Spanish. Yeah. I'm Spanish and I'm the worst Latina that ever lived. But, and I'm trying to learn it and shit. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go and learn how to dance and all these things.
Salsa.
But subconscious, I know, you don't grow in being comfortable. I know, I'm very consciously aware at the fact that my body is having resistance. My mind is having resistance because it is scared. Mm-hmm. It is worried. I feel fucking over the moon. There's 2 emotions going on in my brain right now, but I think the fear will always be there. It's but you really have to trust and believe that everything's going to work out. What's the worst that could happen? You end up maybe homeless, but I'm sure someone's going to let you live on their couch. And there's definitely fear and my body feels it. It's trying to take over. I know that, but I'm it'll be fine. It'll calm soon.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. I think it's just scary of the unknown. Will I get kidnapped?
I love it.
I was literally at the lawyers before, I gotta write my will.
Oh,
do you know how weird that is, right?
I did my will actually a couple months ago.
Really? It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but
it's a weird experience.
I was on a leadership retreat a few years ago, and my mentor there, who was running it, he said to us all, and I was 25. No, hang on. I'm 28 now. I was probably 26, I think. And we had to do this process. I'm not going to give it away. But we did this process. And long story short, and he's telling us to write a will. And I'm like, dude, I'm 26. And he goes, so? And he's like, what? Have you ever known or heard of someone younger than you ever been killed? I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, why do you think you will live forever? And he's like, the fact not having a will is just going to leave so much fucking mess for people after.
Yeah.
And it really made me think because I'm big on cleaning up, closing loops, right? Whenever I start coaching with people, the first thing we do is what's all this shit you haven't done yet that you know you need to do? It's taking energy. Let's just wrap that up and do it. And when I did that, it was the biggest closed loop I've ever felt in my life. I was like, this is the one thing probably subconsciously has been taking energy because I think we all do. We have a fear of dying. It's in there somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. And I think knowing that if we died when we weren't ready, we would have fuck, I wasn't ready yet. And when I did that, I feel my life changed. Yeah, I was I'm just live at a different level now because I'm just I just don't give a fuck. Because if I died tomorrow, I'm good.
Yeah.
Good messages have gone out to everybody. Everything's set up. People, like people around me would be quite happy. There's a bunch of cash come to them, right? You know, like it's good. You know, so I think like it doesn't matter what age you are, it's good to sort of, but it is a confronting thing to sit down and be like, and it was asking me, who do you want to access this when you die? It's like, and I was like, just write, mum.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, actually write dad. I think dad will take it better. And then it was just such a confronting thing. And then I'm texting dad, hey dad, let you know, if I die before you die, they're gonna call you, okay? And he's like, okay.
I know, it's so
like,
weird.
Hope that doesn't happen. I said, yeah. In a perfect world, that doesn't happen, but you don't know. So.
No, you don't know. It's a weird. It definitely is a weird conversation to have. Even like, I'm like, okay, how will the brand live on? There's plenty of photos of me. It could live on for a while.
I fucking love it. What is 3 tips you have to give women specifically in building a 7-figure income?
Okay, number 1, the biggest thing is honestly, fuck what people think. Like. Is so much like negative energy. It honestly doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. You don't really realize till you get there and you're like, fuck, why was it? Did I even care? Like, why? Literally. The second thing is detach yourself from the outcome. What will happen when you're ready. Like, just because you want it now or just because you think you should have it now, it doesn't mean that you're actually ready. Like, let go of timelines because, like, it's just, you will grow into it. And you will actually grow into it faster if you let go of, like, being attached to the outcome and when you actually specifically want it. And probably the third thing is, like, sounds so cliche to say, but, like, everything's going to be fine. Like, I think as entrepreneurs, and this is something that I always say to myself, and I teach all of my clients this, like, when you are taught the gift to make money, you are okay. Like, nothing is ever actually going to happen to you. And I feel like that it's such a gift. Like, I never got taught how to make money in nursing. To be taught that you can make money and there's no cap. Like, you will always be okay. And I think it's just reminding yourself that all the time is like, you have the best gift in the world, and money is a tool, and money will create so much abundance and create so much opportunity for you in your life. Like, the fact that you have been taught that gift by somebody, whether it's most of the time it's a mentor or someone or a book or something, you've been taught a gift. Like, so don't take it for granted. I feel like so many entrepreneurs take it for granted, and it's like, it's never enough. But it's like the most powerful gift I think that you could have in the world. And it's like, use it wisely, and I fucking appreciate it.
Yes. Fucking love it, man. Really. It's been so much fun having you back on here and catching up properly. Where can everybody find you on socials and watch the whole journey that's about to unfold? Yes. Maybe we'll have you on in another year and we've added on a few zeros.
I'll be in my condo somewhere.
Maybe I'll be there as well.
Okay, so Instagram, Jessica Vieira. _ and then on YouTube, just Jessica Vieira. That's just me. Vierea. That's me.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, so to wrap this up, hopefully you've forgotten the last question.
Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, beautiful. No, hopefully you forgot the last question I asked people at the end of the interview. Have you forgotten?
Yeah, I did.
Great. That's perfect. Okay, so one final question. Okay, if you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give her 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, get rid of your toxic friends sooner. Seriously. Get rid of them. Change your circles.
I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, legend.
Love it.
Good.
So good. You're a fucking legend.